What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, we'll be previewing Trackhouse Racing as we head into the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Trackhouse Racing had a very solid 2022, and 2023, they'll be looking to improve on it. Let's start off by talking about Ross Chastain, who will be driving the one car in 2023. Ross Chastain in 2022 had a very strong season, scoring 2 wins and actually making the championship 4 and finishing second of the 4 drivers competing for the championship. He had a very impressive season. I think one of the most improved drivers from 2021 to 2022. When he joined Trackhouse Racing in 2022, his expectations were not really that high. But when he went over to Trackhouse, I thought maybe he'd be an outside playoff contender. But in 2022, he was extremely impressive and impressed a lot of people. But also made a lot of enemies in 2022, making enemies of drivers like Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson at times, other drivers like Austin Dillon, Eric Almirola, you name it. A lot of drivers are very frustrated and upset with Ross Chastain throughout the 2022 season. I think the big goal for Ross Chastain heading into 2023 is improve on that and improve on a very strong season with those 2 victories. He'll have Phil Surgeon once again in 2023, which Phil Surgeon, I was very surprised how good a crew chief he really was, considering he kind of struggled with Chastain in 2021. But near the end of 2021, we really started seeing some improvement from Chastain, and he'll be looking to improve on that heading into 2023. Like I mentioned, the goal for Ross Chastain is to try to win more races in 2023 and look for Trackhouse Racing's first ever NASCAR Cup Series championship. I think the fact that some people think Trackhouse is going to struggle is kind of funny. I don't think Trackhouse Racing really is going to struggle in 2023, especially with a talent like Ross Chastain. But the other goal for Ross Chastain heading into 2023, his other goal is to try to not make as many enemies on the racetrack. That's one of the things he really struggled with in 2022 was making a lot of enemies. If he can improve on that and make less enemies on the racetrack, have some more cool movements on the track like the video game movie pulled, which is one of the most iconic moments in NASCAR history and the best moment in one of the best polls we've ever seen in NASCAR history. He'll be looking for more of those cool moves and not making enemies of drivers like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Bubba Wallace on the racetrack. He's going to need to do that if he's going to want to win a championship. But if he can do that, I think he'll be a very big threat for the championship once again. And I think he's actually got realistically a chance to not only make the championship for a second year in a row, but I also think he's going to get a couple wins in 2023, where I think he gets at least 2 or 3 victories next season. And I also think he will be a championship threat. And maybe, just maybe, might be a NASCAR Cup Series champion at the end of 2023. He'll be looking for a very strong season, and I think Ross Chastain is going to be able to get it done next year. We'll be looking to see what happens, but hopefully Ross Chastain can prove himself, improve his craft, and do good enough to have a championship run and not make as many enemies heading into the 2023 season. The other full-time driver who will be driving for Trackhouse Racing is Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez, who obviously will be driving the number 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. Now, Daniel Suarez's 2022 season was actually really strong. In fact, his career season. So good that he actually was able to win his first career NASCAR Cup Series race at Sonoma Raceway in a very race where he actually had one of the best cars in there. Chris Buescher was strong, don't get me wrong, but he was really strong in that race as well. And he was also good enough to make it to the round of 12. And without a power steering problem, he would have been able to probably make it to the round of 8. He was pretty impressive at points, but also had a lot of bad luck. So he also kind of struggled in the consistency factor. But like I mentioned, Daniel Suarez had a career year compared to 2021, where he had only like 1 or 2 really good stand-up performances, that being a Bristol Dirt. He was very impressive in 2022 and also one of the most improved drivers along with his teammate, Ross Chastain. So what are the goals for Daniel Suarez? Well, obviously, he's going to have Travis Mack next year as a crew chief, because I think Travis Mack is a very good crew chief, and a big reason I think why Daniel Suarez has really improved as a driver. Don't get me wrong, Daniel Suarez is the big reason why he's improved, but Travis Mack is a really good crew chief, and I think he's going to continue to build on that. The goal for Daniel Suarez, I think, going in to 2023 is to get more wins in 2023. Get your first multi-win season. Now, I don't think he's going to win more races in 2023. I think he only gets 1 win in 2023, but I think he's going to improve on the consistency side of things. That's one of the areas where I think Daniel Suarez really struggled at in 2022 is consistency. But the consistency really a lot of times was not his fault. He got involved in a lot of wrecks that really were not his fault, and a lot of times he ran up front in races, but something went wrong. Like the Coco 600, where he had the fastest car through majority of that race, but ended up crashing in that race. And he had a lot of other races where he's really strong, but bad luck, unfortunately, went his way. I think the goal, like I said, is going to be trying to become a more consistent driver heading into next season and building on a really strong 2022. So if he can do that, I think he'll be an outside championship threat. I think he's going to be a driver that I think could actually improve, and it would not be shock or surprise if he is a top 10 driver at the end of the season. I'm expecting big things from Daniel Suarez next year. I think he's going to do a good job in the 99 car. Now, of course, he did sign a one-year contract extension with the team as well, so that definitely helps. I think he's going to be a Trackhouse for pretty much the rest of his career, and he'll be helping to help build Trackhouse Racing to become this great organization, which I think is a good driver on his own, but I think he'll be a good driver to really help Trackhouse Racing improve their craft heading into 2023. You've got to be excited if you are a Daniel Suarez fan. Now, we're going to talk about one more ride that is not a full-time entry, but we're talking about Project 91. Now, Project 91 debuted in 2022 at Watkins Glen with Kimi Räikkönen. That car had pretty good pace and speed with Kimi Räikkönen at Watkins Glen, running in the top 15 and also contending for a top 10 run. But unfortunately, after technically his teammate Ross Chastain in that race caused a wreck in the race, Kimi Räikkönen had nowhere to go and ended up crashing out, which is really unfortunate because Kimi Räikkönen was very impressive in that race. That Project 91 car is expected to make select starts in the 2023 season. The plan is run 8 to 10 races. Now, we don't know who will be driving the car officially, but there's a lot of talk and conversations that Julio Castroneves could potentially drive the Project 91 car in the Daytona 500. As it was reported by Adam Stern very recently in the last week, that there are conversations going on. They'll ever drive for Project 91 in Trackhouse Racing or drive for the money team. I think a lot of people would rather have Julio Castroneves, of course, is a four-time Indianapolis 500 winner and has had a career resurgence in racing in general, winning 1 or 2 Rolex 24s in a row and winning a lot of big-time races as of recently, and also winning the championship with Meyer Shank Racing at Motel Petit Le Mans, helping them win that race overall. There are other drivers who could potentially drive for Project 91 in 2023. It is possible Daniel Ricciardo could drive that car, but Daniel Ricciardo, of course, will be the third driver at Red Bull Racing in Formula One in 2023. So we don't know how much allotment, how much time he'll be open to run, but I think it would be very fun for him to run some NASCAR races. Also, Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen has been tearing it up in the Repco Supercar Series, is also a very big possibility heading into the 2023 season. He's a very good driver. He's shown some interest as well. What about Scott McLaughlin? Scott McLaughlin has driven a NASCAR Cup Series car in Australia in 2018, driving a 22 car for Team Penske. What if he gets an opportunity to race? I know he drives for Penske, but what if he gets an opportunity to race? What about Sebastian Vettel? Sebastian Vettel is coming off of ending his career in Formula One. What if he comes over race in NASCAR? We've seen drivers jump ship from Formula One to come over to IndyCar or even NASCAR. Why not give it a shot or give it an opportunity? And what about Kimi Räikkönen making more starts in 2023? Kimi Räikkönen has shown in some interest, as about a month or two ago, he showed some interest in maybe wanting to make some more starts in the Project 91 car and had a lot of fun doing it. So he might want to do it again. Who knows? And there apparently might be some conversations happening behind the scenes. But this car, I think, is a very competitive car, and I think it's going to be a car that's going to be really fun to watch, whoever gets behind the wheel. It gives these drivers an opportunity who are international drivers who may not have an opportunity to race in NASCAR in a competitive car. This Project 91 car gives a shot and opportunity. I don't see this car winning in 2023, but I think it's very possible that this car could be a very competitive car heading into weekends. It might be a top 10 or top 15 car in the select races that it does end up running, or maybe it wins the Daytona 500 with Julio Castroneves. Who really knows at this point? But if you're a fan of Project 91 and Trackhouse Racing, you've got to be really excited about this car with whoever gets behind the wheel of it heading into 2023. talking about Trackhouse Racing as a whole, they had a very, very strong 2022 season, like I mentioned at the beginning. They had really big ambitions, and they were one of the most impressive teams of the 2022 season. So I think ultimately the goal for them in 2023, like I mentioned with Suarez and Chastain, is to try to improve on that and try to win their first championship in only their third season. And I think with the drivers they've got driving full-time in their organization, I think that they are going to have a really strong possibility and a really strong capability of being able to do that next season. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch what Trackhouse can do and build toward the future. I think in the next 10 years, we're going to see Trackhouse Racing become a multi-time championship caliber organization. I think Ross Chastain will win a Cup Series championship in the next 5 years. And it wouldn't shock or surprise me if the next 10 seasons, if Daniel Suarez gets his first ever NASCAR Cup Series championship. I know that's a little bit of a bold take, but I think Trackhouse Racing really has those capabilities of doing that. And I think they are going to be one of the strongest teams. Now, some people think they might fall off a little bit because of the fact that some of these bigger teams like Penske, Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, and even Rich Schultz Racing might outshine them on the racetrack. But I really do believe in this organization heading into next year. They've got a really big vision. There's talk they could go to IndyCar in the not-so-distant future as well, which is very, very possible. And we'll see what happens with Trackhouse Racing, but they've got a lot of really fun and cool ambitions, and this team is headed toward a really bright future. If you're a fan of Trackhouse Racing, you surely have to be extremely excited as a fan heading into 2023. So, that is going to be it for the team preview for 2023 for Trackhouse Racing. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as for me on Patreon as well. Links are below over that, and comment below your thoughts on today's video. What are expectations for Trackhouse Racing heading into 2023? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Suarez, Chastain, and Project 91 will improve? Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're likely going to have a top 10 best NASCAR teams of 2022, or we'll have a NASCAR news video, pending if we're getting NASCAR news. We'll talk about that. Wednesday should be a NASCAR news video if we get a lot of NASCAR news, and we've got a lot of other content on the way, including a potential big announcement that's going to be dropping here that I teased here yesterday that you'll be seeing on the channel. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.